Hi. If you're preparing for English speaking and writing test, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you my response to a mock test of IELTS writing task 2. Hi, my name is Suguru and I have got an 8.5 in IELTS writing. If I can do that, so can you. Now let's get started. Okay, so you're looking at the first body paragraph of my essay, and I actually wrote this in less than 40 minutes, so there might be some mistakes. In this video, we are not going to look at the introduction paragraph to save time. Okay, let's go. In occupations that entail possibilities of injuries, young workers, such as those still in college or in vocational training, should receive lessons in a classroom prior to making their professional debut in the field. A case in point is staff at chemical plants. At chemical plants, personnel deal with chemical substances, some of which, if misused, lead to an explosion, formation of hazardous smoke, or an intense combustion. Contact with some chemical substances without protective gear or gloves can cause serious damage to the nerves of the brain, leaving the victim paralyzed in some parts of their bodies. To prevent those accidents, inexperienced workers should not be allowed to fulfill their duties in the plants until they are knowledgeable on how to treat those matters. So there's one embarrassing mistake, some or some parts. I don't know why I did that. So let's say some or most parts. Okay, I don't see any other problem here. So let's move on to the next body paragraph. The recommendation made in the previous paragraph, however, does not hold true for all the jobs. Some jobs require hands-on training or actual professional experience instead of perusing handbooks in the lecture room. Customer service jobs are such professions. Being educated in how to respectfully greet customers and who is in charge of what kind of trouble in a restaurant might not be helpful for inexperienced staff who are not even comfortable yet talking to customers. Additionally, unexpected situations might await them. How to cope with a VIP person who comes in escorted by security officers and with TV reporters taking pictures from everywhere would not be in the job handbook. For jobs like this, the only way to nurture professional skills is to actually work in the store. So I don't see any problems in this paragraph, so let's move on. The last two paragraphs remind us why there are internships for young workers. Interns who do not have the slightest idea of their job are given the chance to serve in a real workplace, helped by their seniors, while also receiving tuition as to the knowledge expected of them as professionals. Not only can technological interns, for example, sit in the meeting room to safely learn what dangers to avoid when using the machines and gadgets, but also they can experience the hands-on excitement of programming and activating their robots, which cannot happen in a high school classroom. Therefore, governments, colleges, and private companies should provide aspiring young staff the opportunity for internships because that will lay the foundation for the future business development. Beautiful ending. Okay, so let's evaluate this piece of writing in connection with these assessment criteria. Let's begin by considering task response. To get a high score for task response, you have to provide examples. Let's go over my writing paragraph by paragraph. So this is the first body paragraph. Look at the yellow parts. This is an example of how workers at a chemical plant should study in a classroom before they start to work in a factory. And in my second body paragraph, the yellow sentences illustrate how study in a classroom alone might not be helpful to young workers. And in the last body paragraph, I also provide an example of internships in the technology industry, illustrating why I think internships are very important for young workers. So remember to provide at least one example in each body paragraph. Let's look next at coherence and cohesion, Cohesion means transitions between sentences and transitions between paragraphs. Let's take a look at this. This is the second body paragraph. And I started this paragraph saying the recommendation made in a previous paragraph. So I'm referring to something I wrote about in the previous paragraph or in the first body paragraph. So this sentence, this yellow part, it's sort of creating a connection or a transition between the first body paragraph and the second body paragraph. So this is a good way of using cohesion between paragraphs. And I did the same thing in the last body paragraph. I started the last paragraph saying the last two paragraphs remind us blah blah blah. So I'm referring to something I talked about in the last two paragraphs. So this is connecting with the last two paragraphs. So you can start to use this kind of cohesion between paragraphs, and it will have a positive impact on your entire writing. Next, lexical resource. This is a phrase that will come in handy in a writing test. A case in point. A case in point. A case in point means a good example. A case in point. And there's another word that I want you to know today. Aspiring. Aspiring. Do you know this word? Aspiring. Aspiring means young and ambitious. So if you say he is an aspiring singer, it means he dreams of becoming a singer and he's making efforts to be a singer. Okay, finally, grammar. Have you ever used this grammar structure? If misused. If misused. So this consists of if and a past participle. If you have never used this, let's get used to it because this is very high-level grammar. Here's an example sentence. The smartphone, if used for too long, might overheat. The smartphone, if used for too long, might overheat. So this is the same as saying the smartphone, if it is used for too long, might overheat. Here's another example. The ecosystem, if destroyed, cannot be restored. So in total, this writing has 379 words, not including the introduction and conclusion paragraphs. So yeah, this is good work. Alright, I hope you found this video useful. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and most importantly, let me wish you good luck on your test.